So in some of the other videos that I posted in the marketing course material, basically kind of quickly went through like how to set up the ad account, kind of how to structure the ad account, stuff like that. But the components that people should spend the most time on really is market research. So I'll go to have a market research document in here somewhere. I'll find it. But market research, developing your ICP, so your ideal customer profile, and then copywriting. So once you have the first two things, market research and your avatar profile, you become like an insane copywriter because you know what the pain points are, you know what problems the people in the market are dealing with. And then I have a couple trainings that are in the classroom that are pretty extensive on market research and avatar profile. So the next component to that would be your copywriting. And the way to think about copywriting is thinking about it in a framework. So there's a bunch of different frameworks that you can use, and I have that here too. And I can share this if anybody wants it, but so that you have the AIDA framework. So AIDA stands for attention, desire, interest, and action. So when you're structuring the copy that you're running your marketing campaign for, you want to grab the attention of the target audience, provide engaging information about your product or service, whatever it is, to generate interest, highlight the benefits of your product or service that solves the audience pain points or problems to create desire, and then give them a call to action. The AIDA framework works well if you're doing video scripts. If you're writing copy like email marketing or ad copy that's going on like a Facebook ad, some of these other ones in here. So I also included some ChatGPT prompts, so you can basically just take all the information on your company, tell ChatGPT, hey, I want you to generate me attention grabbing opening line, insert your product or service here, interest, insert product or service, so on and so forth. And then ChatGPT will spit something out that sounds a little robotic and dramatic. My biggest pet peeve is when I'm reading ad copy from people and you can tell that it's written by just copy and paste it from ChatGPT and it sounds like shit. But ChatGPT is good for giving you, if you have kind of brain fog or writer's block, ChatGPT can give you a bunch of good examples on things that may need to be tweaked here and there. You may need to take out, because ChatGPT likes using like melodramatic language, like discover the greatest, whatever, revolutionize your business. Like that sounds like shit, but you can take that, tweak some of the language on it, and then it speeds up the copywriting process quickly. The second framework is the PASS framework. So PASS stands for problem, agitate, and solution. So this is one of the frameworks I use a lot for ad copy on Facebook and Instagram. So identify a problem, highlight your audience's pain point or problem. You should already have a list of their most common pain points and problems from the avatar profile document that I did the other training on. You agitate that problem. Another caveat to this would be to only focus on one pain point at a time. So like if you're running Facebook ads, for example, you can do dynamic copy on your ads. So you can run like 5 or 10 different copy variations on one single ad. So what you can do is you can split test pain points in your copy. So say you're, running an ad for whatever it is, dental practices. A dental practice might have some pain points like, lead generation, increasing overhead for their staff, and customer retention. So you can run copy in the PASS framework where you can highlight the problem number one, which would be lead generation, agitate that problem. So agitate the lead generation pain point and then present your product or service as a solution. Then you can basically just duplicate that copy, swap out pain point number one with pain point number two, customer retention, agitate it, so on and so forth, do the same thing for the third one. An example for the past framework is for almond milk targeted at tea lovers with lactose intolerance. So problem would be can't do without tea, but are lactose intolerant, question mark. Milk tea can lead to gas, bloating, diarrhea, blah, blah, blah. That's agitating the problem. Solution is switch to almond milk to enjoy tea without any bloating or health issues. And then they have the call to action. The next framework is the BAB framework. BAB stands for before, after, and bridge. So this framework shows the transformation of your product, basically meets the prospect in their current situation, shows them their desired situation, and then the final B is the bridge, and the bridge is your offer, basically. So current situation, their desired situation, the bridge to get them from current to desire is your offer. So describe the problem that, XYZ target audience is facing, show them the scenario in which that problem is solved, or show them, a situation where what their dream situation is after having solved that problem. And then the bridge is how your product is the solution to that problem. They give another example in here. So this is for an AI tool, Get Genie. Spending days trying to write a blog post, unable to produce enough content due to time constraints. That's a common pain point for copywriters. I know that firsthand. I have like 100 plus clients I have to write copy for. Imagine writing 10 times more blogs in the time it currently takes to write just one, with a full-length, plagiarism-free blog post in just a few seconds. That's exactly what users of Get Genie are doing. Get Genie AI generates complete blogs with competitor analysis, SEO optimization based on inputs within moments. Try Get Genie today. So this is another really good framework. I like framing things in terms of current situation, desired situation, and then the bridge in the middle is your offer. That helps me whenever I'm coming up with, that helps me specifically when I'm coming up with offers, like creating offers for clients. An example of one I used yesterday for a client of ours who has this YouTube infrastructure model. So all of our clients are other agency owners that we consult on how to acquire clients and whatever their vertical is, whether it's dentists, HVAC, influencers, coaches, consultants, whatever. And this kid's offer was really good. So he actually consulted on projects for some of the most famous business podcasts on YouTube, like Tom Bilyeu's Impact Theory he worked on. The My First Millions podcast, he helped grow that. But his problem was his offer sounded too complicated. So like when he's running ads on Facebook, he starts listing out all the different things that he's going to do for people instead of condensing it into something that sounds simplified and sexy and that is easily digestible by somebody that reads on like a 7th or 8th grade level. And so what we did for him is we scrapped what he was currently doing, where he's listing out all of these services and all of these benefits that what he does gives people, and just positioned his copy and like his messaging and his video scripts and everything around, hey, there are people who are making millions of dollars a year and all they have is just a few thousand subscribers on YouTube. So that way you're not isolated, you're not siloing too large of a sector of your target audience. Because if you're calling out people with 1,000 plus YouTube subscribers, there's not that many people that have that. But if you tell people, hey, all you need is a few thousand subscribers and you can make $1 million a year. One other angle adjacent to that we used for him was, you see all these influencers like Iman Gadzhi, Dan Koh, Serge Guattari, who actually owns this company that I'm doing consulting for right now. Serge Guattari, all these other people who are blowing up seemingly overnight and seem to be acquiring new customers at a faster rate than everybody else. What's their secret? Their secret is this one acquisition channel where you don't need a ton of subscribers, you don't need a ton of ad spend, And then he goes into what that acquisition channel is, which is YouTube, and then he gets into his offer. So the way I think about copywriting for scripts in particular and for ads is like taking something, and it's kind of an art form, and it's a thought experiment that a lot of people like Naval Ravikant, Alex Hormozy like using, which is take something that take a very complex subject and try to distill it down into like a Twitter tweet type of format, like 2 to 3 sentences. Like, how can I take this and make it as simple as possible without diluting a lot of the benefit of it? And there's kind of like an art to it. And that's what I use the kind of like FAB framework a lot for that. The FAB framework, so FAB stands for feature, advantage, and benefit. So this framework highlights the product's features and advantages and the benefits to the consumer. This is particularly useful if you have like an e-commerce product. I don't use this as much for service-based businesses or clients, but the steps to this is just, describe your product's features, highlight the advantages of using that product, and then explain the benefits to the customer. So the reason I don't use this as much is because it doesn't really put any kind of focus on pain points or problems. There's a reason why a lot of the social media algorithms optimize around getting people pissed off about things, because people make decisions based on emotion and then they justify those decisions with logic. So on the front end, you have to convert somebody off of emotion. And if you're just describing your product and then highlighting all of the things that your product does and then explain the benefits to the customer, it doesn't trigger any emotion really for somebody, unless it's a specific kind of product like a hair growth oil or teeth whitening, something like that. But
Right.
yeah. The 4 P's framework. So the 4 P's are promise, picture, proof, and then push. I very rarely use this, but I don't necessarily think this is an ineffective framework to use. So for the first one, promise, make a promise to solve the audience's problem, create a vivid picture of the problem or aspiration. Proof, back up your promise with proof. Push is encourage the audience to take action. What's an example of the 4 Ps? So WooCommerce builder for shop engine. Not getting enough sales, customize your WooCommerce templates with shop engine and give users a better experience and boost sales. Over 20,000 website owners around the world are leveraging this revolutionary e-commerce builder to boost their sales. Get shop engine now and save 20%. That's not too bad. I think it works a little bit better for like a SaaS, software as a service product, but that's the 4 Ps. Pastor is one that I've been using a lot lately. So Pastor stands for similar to the problem, agitate, pain, agitate one that we went through earlier, but Pastor stands for problem, amplify, solution, transform, and then offer. So address the problem, highlight the consequences of not solving that problem, describe how you plan to solve that problem, share stories of similar problems you've solved, describe the service or product you are offering. So this framework works really well. I've been using it a lot lately because I do consulting for a lot of people who are online coaches, mentors, people that sell info products, stuff like that. And this type of framework works really well for helping people script out videos. So, problem is, hey, are you struggling with XYZ pain point? Highlight the consequences of them not solving that problem. So for Trevor, it would be like, hey, are you having trouble getting approved for funding with banks denying you because of your credit? If you don't fix your credit, you're going to be, in XYZ position. And then share stories. These are where you plug in your case studies and then describe the product or service that you're offering. And then that's whenever you go into like your call to action or your offer. And then number 6 to that is to tell them the steps that they need to take to purchase your service or product. So if it's like a coach or consultant, click the link below and book a walkthrough call to we'll walk you through exactly how this works, stuff like that. I have used this ChatGPT prompt so much in the past like 3 or 4 days that I actually put it in I believe it's this one. So I basically just like duplicate this document. And then I just plug that framework. I plug the client's unique selling proposition, pain points, target audience, stuff like that. I plug it into like the Pastor framework, and then it spits out copy that's like actually halfway decent. The Quest framework is another one that I use a lot. So qualify, understand, educate, stimulate, and transition. So qualify is describe your target audience. So qualify them. I use this a lot in ad copy for people that are using like a direct response approach on their ads. So I used it actually this morning for a client that's targeting HVAC owners. He has a marketing agency and his niche that he focuses on is HVAC. And the start to his copy is, HVAC owners doing above 50K a month in revenue. That's your qualify. Convey empathy and understanding. Hey, I know it's hard generating leads in a saturated market with so much competition in your local area, blah, blah, blah. Convey to the lead that you understand the problem that they're going through. Provide a solution to their problem. So whether that's marketing, sales process, operations, stuff like that. Stimulate, so engage them with powerful words and a distinctive brand identity. And then encourage them to be customers. That's your call to action. So an example is the WooCommerce. They're doing the WooCommerce Builder shop engine again. Target WooCommerce store owners or developers with slow websites due to multiple plugins. Too many plugins can slow down your website, but advanced features are necessary to keep your audience engaged. Educate is install a single lightweight plugin like Shop Engine with many advanced features. Stimulate is Shop Engine is an all-in-one solution with 20 e-commerce modules and 15 plus WooCommerce templates. It doesn't compromise your website speed. And then the transition is buy Shop Engine today to start your journey. Oops. To start your journey to a faster website and faster growth. And then the ChatGPT prompt for that, just plug in product service. And then I think there's 2 more. I think it goes up to 10, yeah. So I added 2 more in here from influencers on YouTube that I've researched in the past on what their formula was for copywriting. So Alex Hormozy, his formula that he uses for headlines, he uses this for his offers as well. So when he was running his gym launch business, the offer framework that he used was duration, benefit / result, and then mechanism or power word. So it would be something like duration is like 30 days. So like 30-day benefit is 6-pack abs. Power word is like blueprint or something. Blueprint, blueprint framework. Some kind of mechanism word for how you're achieving that result. Accelerator, stuff like that. So 30-day 6-pack accelerator. So that's basically a super simple formula that he uses when he's coming up with headlines for things like for his offers. I think the actual one that he used for gym launch was like a 60-day weight loss challenge or something, but he did this back in like 2013 whenever nobody was running offers like that, and he was crushing it. He was getting leads for like $1 or $2 a lead. Yeah, and then there's an example, 28-day skinny waist transformation. Sabri Subi, so he's a big YouTuber. His framework for Facebook ad copy this is something that I use a lot. So Market call out, that goes back to the HVAC owners above 50K a month. Present your offer without clauses. So this is something that a lot of people use on their funnels, on like ClickFunnels. So call out your target audience, present your offer. So for Trevor, I think we used this framework for Trevor where it was, build a six-figure Turo, call out your audience, present your offer, build a six-figure Turo fleet, and then the without clauses are without pain point 1 or pain point 2. So join our mentorship to build your six-figure Turo fleet without any prior business experience and without investing a bunch of your own money, something like that. And then reason why and how this works. So this could be where you insert like case studies, or you can explain how your approach is better than what everybody else is doing. So a lot of people right now in my space, in the marketing space, are running ads. The without clauses are, here's how you can grow an audience and acquire new clients without spending a bunch of money on ads and without posting every day. And then that piques people's curiosity. It gets them to book a call. And then once they get on the call, they realize that all he's really talking about is just doing like cold outreach or something on email. But the whole point is that it gets them to book the call, and that's really what they care about. Provide proof or results. So this is where you would insert case studies again to provide credibility, and then your call to action at the end. And then the example, if you're a marketing agency above 25K a month, we'll guarantee you 15 new clients per month for the next 3 months, or you don't pay, without sending cold emails, without relying on referrals or doing cold DMs. Our AI-enabled ad creatives outperform traditional methods. Here's what our clients have achieved. Insert case studies, and then call to action is click the link to book a call. I really like this framework a lot, so I use this a lot specifically for the clients that I have at client acquisition. And then Hormozy's data-driven campaign. So if you watch a lot of Hormozy's content, one of the things that he displays is what he calls information asymmetry. So the way that he explains information asymmetry is when you're talking to somebody, and if you've done a ton of research on that market and you're talking to that person and that person feels like you know more about their industry than they do, that's information asymmetry. And it positions you as an authority in their mind when you're on a sales call. And then this also works in like your marketing copy and stuff as well. So in Hormozy's example, what he did when he was running this type of framework to gym owners was he would by heart memorize a lot of the market research that he did. So he knew what the average take-home profit was for a gym owner, which is about 30K a year. He knew, what all of the pain points are in the gym space. He knew all of these things by heart because he spent days and days doing market research, and all you have to do is memorize a few numbers: total addressable market, market cap, year-over-year growth rate of companies in that industry, stuff like that. And if you can spit that to a person on a sales call, it puts you in a completely different authoritative position in that person's mind, and it creates information asymmetry. So then they respect your time more. They show up to your call. When you're talking to them on the call, they don't feel like they are above you. They feel like you're above them because you know more than they do about their own industry. So to do this, you just have to collect a lot of data, doing market research, gather statistics and metrics, choose the most compelling data points in those metrics that you've gathered, and then build a narrative around that data and showcase the impact of your product or service. So an example is to measure client progress over a year. 1 in 5.5 gyms that work with us achieve over $1 million in annual revenue. Create a narrative is join the ranks of other successful gyms. 1 in every 5.5 gyms that work with us hits a $1 million revenue mark. And then the ChatGPT prompt for that. And then that is the that is the end of the copywriting frameworks that I use day to day for writing copy for clients. I was gonna go through the master document that I have for ad scripts, but this is like a 30-page document. So that might have to be for the next training. But I'll put the link to this document because it took me the better part of like half of a day to like put all of this together. Yeah, all these frameworks. So I'll put the link to this in the description of the video that I put up in the classroom.
Okay.